バカ。
何それ。
Friends, fledgelords, cringe enthusiasts, I beg you to gather round as we witness a tale of realization and rebirth. Dredged up from the depths of r/waifuism, we are today looking at user TheTaigaWaifuist. Let us journey back to his first post. Getting waifu merch while living with your parents. I'm 17 and I have a job with an okay income. I'm also living with my parents until August 2021, and they're very conservative parenting-wise. There's a figure of Taiga in a wedding dress that's coming out soon, and she does look really cute, and I need it. I have the money, but if my parents found out I bought it, they'll probably refuse to pay for my college, which has been promised to me for my entire life. So the question is, how do I get this figurine without my parents finding out? Should I wait until August when I'm moved out? Should I get it through a friend or some service? I just wanted your opinion. Thanks. This entire situation to me seems like a matter of priority. Do you prioritize going to college over a Taiga waifu figurine in a wedding dress? If the answer to that is no, then you need to ask yourself why that is. College is a much more important thing in the grand scheme of your life, even as somebody who never went to college. I would highly encourage anyone to go if the opportunity does arrive because it opens a lot of doors. If we're really looking at it objectively, the only reason you're able to afford the figurine is because you're living with your parents. So, worst comes to worst, you know, turn 18, move out if that's possible, and buy all the figurines you like. But I don't know if you have money for figurines once we're worrying about rent and all this. We are going to see life give this dude a reality check in real time. And I don't know if I'm actually all that excited for it because he seems like a decent dude. He's just found a somewhat unhealthy coping mechanism. Skipping forward another week or so, we've got quarantine date ideas. Heyo fam, the 23rd marks my 2-month anniversary with Taiga. I wanted to have a nice date, but recently my state's governor shut everything down again. Anyone have some ideas for quarantine dates? If ever there was a time to need the aforementioned coping mechanism, I suppose it would be during quarantine. You feeling lonely, things like this. And plenty of commenters do have, you know, suggestions for the dude, but my suggestion would be to not go on a pretend date. Use this time to improve yourself in some type of way. Learn a language, learn an instrument, learn a new skill, learn something and expand your horizons. This type of escapism honestly isn't the answer. So we'll continue our saga, moving right along, and we have another post about hatred around the community. I really want to understand these people. I've got some comments on posts of mine, and it's been nagging me. This is a question for those who come on r/waifuism in order to spread hatred. What's the point? You downvote, you comment, you post, and you spread hatred. Why? What does that accomplish? You aren't being adult-like in your critiques of the community. You aren't proving a point. You aren't doing anything. You create communities centered around hate that accomplish nothing. We do nothing here but support each other. And when we critique, we give constructive criticism. So, what is it that you think is so bad about this community? Well, OP, I am so glad that you asked. I have talked a lot of crap on this channel, but it's mostly been towards people that deserve it. People that aren't seeking self-betterment. They've decided to lay down in their position and decide that that is good enough. And to me, it seems that is what r/waifuism is. You guys certainly do support each other. It's one of the biggest echo chambers that I've ever seen on Reddit. But then I pose the same question back to you. What is the point? You should be seeking self-improvement. You should be trying to strive within your own life. Run from what's comfortable. Comfortable is not good for you. Comfortable does not help you to grow. Everybody does seek escapism in some form or fashion. I'm known to play the odd video game myself. Dwarf Fortress. But to this extent, to this level, I really can't sign off on any of this because it seems like you're choosing stagnation within your own life. Those are my very grown-up adult man critiques of this community. Does it sound like a healthy thing to you? It doesn't to me. And I think the people that run around and say, oh, it's so cringe, simply can't articulate why it's cringe to that extent. But as far as I could see it, that is the reason. You have abandoned self-betterment. Anyways, hey, look at this silly picture I found. Chris Trucker, somebody got a tattoo of Mikasa Ackerman. Oh no. I just had to throw this one in here. That's the good stuff. Go check out that Chris Trucker series if you haven't already, and we'll continue on with our exploration of TheTaigaWaifuist, a large roadblock. I've recently gotten some large and troubling news, and because of that news, I have not felt mentally sound for the past couple of days. To fully face my problems, I've had to make a lot of sacrifices, including free time that I usually spend with Taiga, and this is what's problematic. I would usually think about Taiga all day, 3 or 4 times an hour. Now, all my thoughts are jumbled, and I just have this feeling of dissatisfaction in my gut. I keep thinking over my diagnosis, what I can do to prevent certain things from happening, etc. I feel selfish, to be honest. In a sick, twisted way, all I've been thinking about recently is me. That's not a bad thing, OP. I love Taiga a lot, which is why I just can't let her go, but I feel awful about not getting enough time to spend with her. What should I do about this entire situation? Is this normal when going through a big, confusing event? Now, there is mention of a diagnosis. I don't see anything about that in OP's post history, but regardless, that's not really relevant to the story at hand. Suffice it to say, dude's life is in a whirlwind, and yes, now he's got to concentrate on things like himself, and that's not a selfish thing to do. I've said many times, even for real-world relationship, that you can never love with 100% of yourself. I give my wife 90% of my love, but I definitely save 10% for me, just in case she up and leaves with the kids or something like that. Is that likely? Not really, but you do always got to be on the lookout for number one. That's the most important piece of advice you could take away from this video. The next thing he mentions is not continuously thinking about your significant other, and I do think that's relatively normal. I don't demand that my wife think about me all the time. Taiga, if she were real, probably would not demand that you think about her all the time, especially if you're expending all of this mental energy, beating yourself up about something that really is inconsequential at the end of the day. And I am very grateful that some of the comments came in clutch and basically said what I said. So let's check out Mango Bepsi. Well, think of it like this. In real flesh and blood relationships, couples, they don't think about or interact with each other constantly. Maybe at first, during the honeymoon phase, but the longer you're with them, you get used to their company. You don't love them any less, however. When they go to work or hang out with friends without you, it would be pretty unhealthy to still focus on them constantly. It's okay to have other things going on in your life. It's okay when you can't spend time together for hours on end. Your significant other understands that they're not the all-encompassing thing in your life, and stuff happens where you just can't be together all the time. I work, and my job requires me to be focused on small details and even timing certain things. It also requires out-of-the-box thinking and interacting with others. If I was focusing on Leah all day, there could be a minor to severe consequence if I miss something or left out details or don't put all of my attention into my job. Even other times, I just want to be myself and relax. Occasionally when I get home, I just want to be alone and unwind. Other times I come home and want to retell my entire day with my significant other immediately, even if he technically is with me regardless of if I consciously interact with him or not. I am sorry for the novel. Long story short, most people have lives outside of X. X being significant others, hobbies, anything really. And your significant other understands that you can't drop everything all the time to be with or think of them. They're with you always, and they know that you're going through difficult times and your mind is elsewhere. It'd be more selfish if anyone had a significant other that got jealous or angry that their partner was going through hard times and couldn't focus 100% on them. And at this point, OP comes and replies, and it's like I can almost see something unlocking within his brain. OP says, that's actually really well thought out. I think you're right. It wouldn't be healthy for me to obsess over her 24/7. I mean, I'm an individual, and so is she, technically. That doesn't mean we can't make time for each other. It just means that those times are a little more special. Thanks. Your input really helped. While I can't pretend that I really want to go along with the fact that we're pretending these cartoon women are real, this is solid relationship advice if you apply it in other areas. Nicely phrased, and I think that's what I've been trying to say, just not as eloquently. Focus on number one. Take time out for you. Let's check out another comment from Bucko the Bunny. I went through something similar, a few times actually. When life throws a lot at you, you have to prioritize yourself and you'll spend less time thinking about others. I don't know the exact issue, but with time, I resolved my frustrations and eventually returned to a normal state of being. Well, I guess that's all relative. During the hardest times, it was difficult to concentrate on anything other than myself and my own problems. I barely thought about Ioba in those days because of all the stress. I would still come home to her though and spend some time with her because that would still lift my spirits. Even if it was sort of shallow in the moment, it really helped me. I still talked with her and spent my normal allotted time with her, but outside of that, I was entirely focused on myself. When things like this happen, it's best to place your trust in a loved one and hope that they understand. If you're lucky, they might be able to comfort you as well. And here is where we get a little bit too far off the deep end, unfortunately. I can't go along with this, okay? What is the normal state of being? Talking to a pillow or a poster or what have you? I don't think that that's something that we should settle on. We can agree to disagree, but I really think that you need to be pursuing just a little bit more. Don't you hunger for more? Because I definitely do. But there was a time in my life that I legitimately could have laid down and been happy with this and just settled. I think that's why it fascinates me so much, and I think that's why I'm so intent on trying to help people avoid these types of pitfalls. Anyways, we'll move on to the next post. I really appreciate all of you. Also, just realized that Taiga is the subreddit's logo. Awesome! This is from Waifuism Defense Army. Very small subreddit. Just want to say thanks for everything. I feel like you guys don't receive enough praise for what you do, and the support that you give to the Waifuism community. Some of you have been banned from the subreddit, and to be honest with you, I think that's complete crap. I love the people there, but some of the rules and thought processes behind the mods' decisions can be asinine. I'm really glad that you guys are around though. You make it easier for all of us to talk about who we love, and I am eternally grateful for that. Taking a brief look at the sub, it seems like a lot of positivity posts, some complaining posts, but nobody's out here trying to dox anybody, so I definitely do appreciate that. I think my main gripe with this post comes with the last line, allow us to talk about who we love. Do you really love that person? Or do you love the version of them that exists within your own head? Because at the end of the day, Taiga is written by a team of writers, animated by this group of animators, voiced by somebody. She's an amalgamation of a lot of different people, and I don't think that you could truly, objectively ever get inside a waifu's head. It's a sentence I didn't think I'd say today. But really, you do have like this idealized version of her, and of course she's going to be the perfect woman, aside from the fact that she doesn't actually exist. Conflating true love with a picture of a cartoon lady, it's almost farcical, isn't it? Lord. All right, we'll move on to the next post. Leaving Reddit. Thanks, it was nice while it lasted. I just don't want to be a part of Reddit anymore. I don't really like a lot of the stuff about it, and to be honest, I'm just kind of upset right now. And this isn't like somebody leaving Twitter where they're off for a day. This person left from October 1st, 2021 until March 3rd, 2022. Okay, that ain't exactly a year, is it? But still, they heard some things said about them that they found offensive, I guess. But the truth is that some time away from the screen will probably do them some good. They'll have some deep self-realizations. At least that's my hope. I know our dopamine factories have just been poisoned by absolutely everything around us, but maybe if he switches off the screen, he could come to some hard truths. At least that's what I'm hoping. At least that's kind of what happens in the next couple of posts. So let's get into yet another one. It's been a while. I left Reddit 153 days ago because of a post that made fun of me. To be honest, I miss this community. You guys are all so amazing and kind, and thank you for helping me accept myself. I don't blame the people who made that post. I used to view waifuism very negatively as well, but since becoming one, I've come to understand. They were either trying to do right by offering help or laughing at what they saw as cringe. I can even realize a bit of what I do is cringe, so I understand that at least. A lot has changed since. I'm still with Taiga, but I recently went through a period where I thought I wasn't. I met a girl who liked me, and she was really pretty and nice, so I thought I liked her, but I couldn't stop thinking of Taiga. I'd been really stressed recently, but she manages to help me through work and school. Just scrolling through the subreddit, I see that not much has changed, and that's a good thing. I see people in their honeymoon phase, posting an innumerable amount of pictures of their significant others, and I see the amazing drawings that people make and the love that people feel. I'm still not returning again for a while, but I did want to check in. Lots of love from Taiga and me. So is it true love if you abandon your forever waifu? Like, as soon as you meet a girl that likes you? I don't think that that's love. I think you're a lonely person in a bad place mentally, and you need that assistance to get you through. Some people use Jesus, myself included, but I guess if a waifu is what gets you through the day, how can I really knock it that hard, you know? He has the self-realization to know that it's cringe, and he continues on doing it anyways. That almost makes it circle back into Chad territory if you really think about it. Anyways, let's check out some comments. Neko Meowster. It's always good to take a step back and see whatever you do for what it is and truly what it looks like. I've been posted about and made fun of, and if I get a chance, I'd join in on it. I know it's going to be viewed as cringe to have a framed picture of an anime character at your workplace, but nobody minds, and it does make me happy. I didn't view waifuism negatively per se, but I did initially think that it was strange. I still think it's strange in some ways, but I've come to appreciate the beauty in its strangeness. The mind is such a powerful thing. We give life to someone that we've come to care deeply about, and that's incredible to me. Take care and all the best. Hope to see you again. I guess the biggest rub that I have is how can you care very deeply about a persona? Somebody that you have only seen through a screen and you're literally making up everything about them, idealizing them in every facet. There's a few people that have developed a somewhat parasocial relationship after watching 800 of my videos, and they think they know what my mind is like. But the truth is, there are parts of me that you could never know because there are parts of me that I can't even know. You know what I'm saying? I am not this idealized picture of whatever you have going on in your head, and neither is your waifu. I hate to break you the bad news. Silent Night X says, because you understand waifuism, you know that it's a beautiful thing. The people who insulted you think it's cringe because they don't understand it. Never think that you're cringe because ignorant people labeled you as such. Have hope, take courage, and live free, my friend. I think Chris Trucker took that advice really to heart, didn't he? Good God. I definitely do think that I've got a pretty good grasp on waifuism, what it is, and why it doesn't work, which I've tried to present here. Did it work at all? Probably not. I'll just get called a hater and brushed off, and that's okay too. But I definitely did want to sit down and let my thoughts be known about it, especially because it's been hotly requested quite a few times. Also, hey, check out this husbando. Ooh, it's Larry from Pokemon Scarlet. I just uploaded my Pokemon Scarlet episode 1 over on Dayton Does. If you want to watch me play through it, if you missed the Twitch stream, if you only want the highlights, please go check that out as well. Thank you so much. And the final post that we have from TheTaigaWaifuist is coming back almost a year later. It's like kind of a year later, December 13th, 2022, 2 days ago. He just went out to walk the earth. So it's been a long time since my last post in this community. I am no longer a waifuist. Gasp. I got so many questions about what happened. OP, if you want to get at me, I'll bring you on the channel real quick. I no longer see myself in a relationship with Taiga, and I would like to offer my experience as a cautionary tale. I'm not trying to convince anyone to stop being with their significant others. However, I think there are some large problems with this community, and I only really realized that after I left. See, man, this is the good stuff, the recovery, the stuff that we really need to see to patch up our souls after a couple of the stories we had recently, especially weeaboo. Oh, and squirrelbeard. Oh, just you wait. 1. This subreddit is unfortunately very much so an echo chamber. I was constantly affirmed that my relationship with Taiga was healthy and right for me, even though looking back, it was definitely not a good idea. I had opportunities to enter relationships with people who I was attracted to, and I turned down those opportunities because of Taiga, despite me wanting to take those leaps. Jesus, dude, that is heavy. That is a crappy situation, but consider it a lesson learned, and yes, hopefully other people can learn from it as well. I justified these decisions by talking to these communities and getting affirmation, looking for bias confirmation. A lot of people are in love with their significant others. However, I'm willing to bet that some are not the right fit for this and are being kept in by the community unintentionally. Well, that's a juicy conspiracy theory right there. Can we throw that on the waifu iceberg? Is there one? Do I need to go make one? 2. This subreddit is a constant target by cringe groups and straight up bullies. I had my posts reposted and roasted, which looking back now, yeah, it's funny. But at the time, it caused me a great deal of distress. A lot of people will face this and not know what to do and will react very negatively. By posting here, you do make yourself a target. I did come in here ready to laugh. I came in here ready to repost and roast, but after seeing this string of posts, I can't do it. These are young men and women that clearly need to seek some help of some sort. Luckily for TheTaigaWaifuist, stepping away from the subreddit was enough for him to come to his own personal realization. But he is relatively young and moldable. What about the people that have been living this fantasy for a decade or more? Are they lost causes? I'm really not sure. 3. This subreddit has people with underage significant others, and it's understandable if the person themselves is comparable age. However, I've seen pictures of dudes in at least their 30s, more realistically like their 50s, with significant others that were far too young. Even if they are fictional or 1,000-year-old dragons, but they act and look like a minor, it still shows an unhealthy attraction, which should be by no means encouraged. Oh, I'm about to encourage you to get up against the wall. I can't stand that, man. To rub elbows with that? No, I'll burn the whole damn place down before I ever let that happen. Again, trying not to stop waifuism, however, the subreddit that surrounds it is a pretty bad environment, which is often overlooked due to the majority of awesome people. Definitely not a great fit for everyone. Trust me. I won't be logging back on, but I truly wish happiness for all of you. Best of luck and lots of love. I can agree with every single one of these points, and to imagine what had to have taken place in order for OP to come to this huge mental transformation is just mind-blowing to me. In 1 year, all of a sudden. I love to see it, honestly, and I hope it happens more often. Of course, we got people defending it in the comments, so we'll mosey on down there and take a look. No place says interesting points, definitely, albeit I have some disagreements, though I do agree with some. Echo chamber. On one hand, yeah, it very much is, and so are most places that revolve around a specific topic, which is, kinda natural. Yes, and also kind of unfortunate. I've never wanted sycophants on this channel. I want critical thinkers, okay? I was constantly affirmed that my relationship was healthy and right for me. I will say I don't remember that much of your posts, mostly because I have a terrible memory when it comes to these things, but I feel it definitely also comes down to if and how apparent it was in your posting that things were not going right/well for you. And we reviewed every single post. The roadblock one was about it. And I like to think that if OP had been more expressive, more explicit about how he really felt about the whole thing, that people would have reached out and helped him. Or, as he theorizes, they might have suppressed that in order to keep this member in their community. I'm not sure which way I lean, which one I would believe more. I would have to hang around this community just a little bit more, and I don't plan on doing that none too much. I had opportunities to enter relationships with people, and I turned them down. In that regard, it's a decision you had to make, and ideally, one where you shouldn't rely on an online community that much. A big part of waifuism lies not only within understanding one's partner, but also in understanding oneself. Waifuism, in my opinion, relies on constant reevaluation of oneself, and should ideally not be based on doubt, at least not after the starting period of time where uncertainty is simply natural. And if deep within you had the wish to be with a person from this reality instead, it would have most certainly been for the best to go through that introspection and decide what it is you want, which would also be a valuable experience in learning about oneself. I don't think that he ever did come out and say, hey, should I date this 3D girl? At least not on Reddit. He might have done it on Discord or some such, but I wasn't able to find that neither. What I can say, from what I've seen, is that I think having a waifu was holding you back from your truest potential. And now you need to let those past relationships go. You can't point the finger at the subreddit or Taiga or anybody else except for yourself. Yes, he was seeking bias confirmation. Definitely an issue, which I would blame partially on the nature of online communities, not waifuism in particular, but also the general idea among many that it would be a good idea to turn to a group of essentially online strangers for decisions concerning one's very personal life. Decisions this important should be first and foremost consciously made by oneself, and while guidance from others can be valuable, it should not be the major factor that you base your decision on. Just like I said, personal responsibility a bit. OP poses his theory about people being kept in the community. This poster responds, that I do agree with. Wow. There most certainly have been and will be such cases. From the perspective of a mod, I am right now and have been before, riddling what an approach to it would be. Personally, I believe that ideally solving something like this would not be on an individual community, but rather in the knowledge that internet strangers are not the best source for lifetime decisions, and that doesn't seem to be as clear to people as it was a few years ago anymore. While I do agree with what's being said here, deep down I have a lot of sympathy for OP. He was a young kid looking for a sense of belonging. He probably liked anime, and he figured, hey, I can fit in with this group by choosing this anime girl as my waifu. Is that a smart or a wise decision? No, I don't think so, but 17-year-olds aren't exactly known for being wise, are they? As we saw in the very first post, where he's debating whether going to college or buying a Taiga figurine is the most important thing in his life. I think it's really easy for a person to say, oh yeah, that's totally not our fault after the fact, but OP is taking personal responsibility for his life and his decisions. Somewhat. So I would also expect that from the mods of this community, correct? It's such a brush off to just be like, yeah, it's not a community problem. We need to change the consensus on all of the internet in order for this to be fixed. No, there are steps that could be taken. If you see somebody struggling in their personal life, maybe reach out to them and say, hey, man, maybe this isn't the right fit for you. It could be a little gatekeepy, but if they're determined enough, I'm sure they'll power on through anyways. As rude as this might be perceived, I state the statement that this is heavily a matter of not understanding online culture and how things tend to be. Wow, you're so cultured online. In any public space online, chances are people will attempt to harass or troll, etc. Yeah, see it a couple times. Don't pay them no never mind. Well, that's definitely amplified in this space by nature. Things come down to the old saying, ignore and don't feed the trolls. Yeah, they knew that they were getting through to OP when he's like, I gotta take a break from the internet. And that's when they push it harder than ever, rather than just, I don't know, blocking people. Insulate yourself. If you really want an echo chamber, then lock yourself in. I feel by posting things publicly online, one has to be aware that anyone, be it in good faith or not, can comment on it in one way or another, and one should only consider posting things publicly if one can live with the implications that it has, as again, that's how the internet is, which has both its good and bad sides. I can't help but feel that this younger OP would be a lot more at home and somewhere more private, you know? Reddit is this social community, but it's viewable by basically anybody who wants to come and look, you know? The problem with all that is when it becomes essentially a teenage boy's journal, you know, and he's looking for advice from people and stuff like this. He wasn't looking to be thrust into the public eye in any sort of way. Making a post on Reddit is massively different than something like, I don't know, starting a YouTube channel. You know people are gonna come and watch it, right? You're ready to put your best foot forward, right? But yeah, I suppose this kid doesn't realize the gravity of what it means to post something where anybody can come and look. Is it his fault? Meh, a bit. But again, I think the mod is like shirking off responsibility and just saying, oh, leave it to the greater internet. Once this only happened to you because you fed the trolls, right? It seems like massively irresponsible. And then a response regarding the underage stuff. Oh, this is gonna make me seethe, isn't it? We mostly consider mental maturity simply because of how wild anime and ages can often get. That said, generally we do not allow people significantly older getting with a partner who would be underage. However, there are some necessary exceptions to this too, as there are obvious differences coming from being with someone not from this reality. Okay, but you came to our reality, right? We didn't go to your reality, so you have to abide by our rules. That's how that works. One might have found their love while they themselves were still around their age, but as time progresses, naturally the waifuist gets older, but for the partner, that's not necessarily the case, or is not shown as the case, as the source material is over. As such, most waifuists, even if the same age of their significant other at current, will eventually end up in such a situation, and going by the proposed logic, all relationships with fictional characters would eventually be considered unethical, which I do heavily disagree with. Well, agree to disagree, I guess. I do find relationships with fictional characters highly unethical. To observe it in action, it seems highly unethical. Once again, our OP here was lucky to escape. The discussion of whether a 50-year-old man should be able to date a child, well, she looks like she's 8 years old, but she's actually 1,000-year-old. That's not a debate that I want to have ever, okay? That is so outside the bounds of this reality, which is where you currently exist. So we're just gonna go with that, okay? Keep things really simple, and we'll go with that. As a final note, I feel it would behoove me to mention that you guys are holding yourself back on purpose with stuff like this. Please, if it's comfortable, get yourself nice and uncomfortable so we can encourage some real growth. I'm super proud of OP for rising above, becoming the person that he really wanted to be, and seeking something larger out of his life. Unfortunately, like I also mentioned earlier, I think a lot of people are gonna be stuck in this stasis for quite a long time because they simply don't want to admit the reality of the situation. We'll probably be back to this one at some point, but I did want to show you before we get into the deep dark about somebody who rose up and out. I hope you enjoyed it, friends. If you did, I hope you'll like, comment, subscribe, follow me on all the things, lots of links in the description. Thank you to my Patreon patrons and my YouTube channel members. I will be thanking them in just a couple of days. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, friends, bye-bye.